Well, hey there, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Two Stall Garage with me, your host, or some random dude, 04 on TikTok. Yeah. Anyways, what am I doing today? I'm standing. I'll start there. Second, you can hear my boom. It's because I got my heater cranked up because it's cold, as you can tell. I got layer. It's not t-shirt weather, it's hoodie weather. And unfortunately, the time has come. This 1995 Chevrolet Impala SS needs to get winterized. Now, I've made winterizing videos on this here Impala SS for the last 2 or 3 years. Change it up a little bit every single time. However, we're in Kentucky now. So the circumstances have now changed where we got to winterize it a little differently. Similar, but differently. Similar, but differently. So I'm going to go through today, winterize this. I have Angus is going to be staying outside for the winter. Yeah, he's got to get winterized up too. And we just got to go through and make sure that these are all good to go. Bert is coming back. I've been slowly working on that behind the scenes. It's been a struggle. But Bert is coming along. But today's focus is going to be on this here Impala shock collar, 17-inch blades, stock rim collar, winterizing it. So let's get in the video, son. First thing I'm going to tell you before you get going in this project, the materials that you're going to need to properly winterize a vehicle. Now, we talked about this in the last one. There's 2 ways you can winterize it. You can do like a full-on winterizing where it's going to sit outside into the elements, or it's going to be winterizing it sitting into a nice garage that is either climate controlled or cold. I don't know what you got going on. I'm going to kind of cover both. You'll just have to pick a happy medium. But things that you'll need to start. I went with these this year. They are a rodent repellent cedar smell thing. Keeps meese out. We'll see how well they do. You could also get like a mint extract. Something like this. Menard sells it. Pure mint extract. I start there. Why do I start there? Well, mice. Mice like to get into vehicles. They like to climb up through little nooks and crannies, get in the engine compartment. They like to climb into the little blower squirrel cage, even though it's meant for squirrels. Mice get in there and they cause damage. Now, some of you might be asking, well, can't you just use dryer sheets? Yeah, you can, but don't. Because if you remember on Power Tour 2022, we had this 1995 Chevrolet Impala SS. We took it on Power Tour, and the squirrel cage was kind of shaking the whole dash. Well, what ended up happening was my prior years before, I would use more and more dryer sheets. One got sucked up into the blower motor because a mouse took it and drug it up in there, and it was stuck in the squirrel cage, and it caused my motor to burn up. So, don't do that. 1, because it doesn't work, and 2, because it will cause you to get pieces of dryer sheet in places you don't want it. So, pick yourself some of these fresh cab things. Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's, they all have some kind of a rodent repellent. It smells like balsa wood, cedar chips, something like that. That's the first thing. Next thing, you're going to want to get yourself a whole assortment of cleaning supplies. Mainly some Armor All Protectant. Why Armor All Protectant? You can see it protects from UV damage. It's a non-greasy formula, and it helps that looking like new look. So the overall, or the Armor All here, will help out the dash. Leather seats, if you have leather seats, keep them from cracking, because even though it is wintertime or going to be cold, the air is really dry, and that's what sucks everything out. So you want to retain all the moisture inside your seats to make sure that they do not crack and get any little cracks in the dash or anything like that. So you want to make sure it stays pliable So that's where the armor alls will come into. Next thing, probably a good time if you haven't been through the car or vehicle to clean it out, because usually you get some random oddball stuff that ends up popping up into them from using it all year. Let me show you. As we come up to the driver's side, you can see I have just a couple random packets in here. I got some papers. I don't know what's in the back. Back's pretty well cleaned out, but you get the drift. If you have your charger, you want to get your chargers out of there, because you might end up needing them and then you don't know where they are, and then you're like, why don't I know where they are? What is that? Gross. I got like something on there. Didn't mean to get angry there, but you know, my pristine paint job. Anyways, pop open the trunk too. Let's see what we got hanging out in the trunkage. Oh, yes. Junk. Hey, I was looking for those. Huh. That's where they are. That's why you clean out your cars. And an extension cord. Cool. But this is kind of a good example of get all this stuff out of there, and then that way it's not in your way. So another consideration you need to do while you're winterizing your vehicle is, are you going to work on it during these winter months? The Impala, I do have some plans for it. I'm actually going to put the stock headlights back into it and side markers, because I mentioned it in a previous video, these headlights, yeah, they're cool, but I need to go back to the stock look here for a little bit. So if you're going to be doing any types of work to it, you may not want to go as deep, in depth, winterizing it as some people might. You might not want to seal the whole thing up is what I'm saying, because you may need to move it back and forth. But take those into consideration. I'm going to start by cleaning out the whole kit and caboodle of this, and we're going to see what we got. And then we're going to pop the power barn, and we're going to do stuff underneath the hood that, well, no, I'm not doing chapters. Just fast forward it if that's where you're interested in. So starting at the rear of the rig, yeah, I'll pull the spare tire off. That is the factory spare tire, 30 years. Got some trash, some rags, extension cord. I got my jack. It's got trash on it. Trash. That's the point of it, is you're pulling out all the trash to eliminate clutter and to make sure that little critters, little meese, if they do get in here, they don't grab this stuff and rip it all to shreds and make nests out of it, because, yeah, you don't want that. Gotta put those somewhere that I was looking for them, that I'm gonna forget where they were here, and so on. I was looking for that too. Man, you just never know what you're gonna find when you start actually cleaning. I was looking in the back of Bert too, and there's a lot of stuff in there yet from my move that I've been looking for. I'm gonna finish this up. And there you go, we're all cleaned out. As some of you may notice, these are the kick panels that we built here a couple years ago on both sides, and fire extinguisher mounted up to it. They kind of popped out a little bit. I made them out of a little bit more flexible kind of wood, but this will help prevent anything in your trunk. If it slides back and forth, it'll hit, and it will not give you dents in your quarter panels. So I can link that video if I can remember to put it in here somewhere. I don't know. It'll be in one of the little corners here or here. I don't recall, but I'll put that video in there so you can watch that if you're interested. Now you may want to vacuum it out here, do some other stuff. I'm not going to do that here yet, because I did notice this the other day. My leak has returned to the Impala, and I do believe it's from this. You can see it's it's kind of loose there, folded down. And the seal right here is starting to, well, she's starting to deteriorate. So I'm probably gonna order up a new one of those seals, and we'll do another video here coming up soon on a trunk leak, because I see another thing has come up on the, I don't know. Anyways, coming soon on that. But if you want to vacuum it out now, vacuum it out now. I'm not doing that. Moving on. So now that I've gone through and I've cleaned out all the junk out of the car, inside and out, I'm gonna start cleaning up the leather. So what I like to do is I will spray everything from the door cards, door panels, anything that's plastic, the seats. I will just put a nice big general coat over and let it soak and let it sit and let it sink in. You don't want to wipe it in, because the purpose of this is to let the leather soak it in, or the material soak it in. As you can see, my car's got 226,000 miles on it, and I'm in and out of this thing all the time, cleaning it. It's all about detailing it and making sure you stay up on the proper materials of cleaning it and conditioning it. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there's a couple different types of conditioners that you can get. I personally prefer Armor All. I have a refillable bottle. I like these squirt bottles, or the other style. I just buy the big bulk thing of it and refill them. There are stuff you do get like this, Pro Elite Leather and Conditioner Cleaner. I don't really like this one as well into the Impala. I like the smell of Armor All personally. I will be using this though on Angus, because I have it, Mazel use it, but whatever one you prefer, use it up. So, as I mentioned, I just start by nice general coat. I'm gonna go through and spray, throw stuff around, but spray everything down, including the back seats. There's these little pillars that are in the back here. Make sure to get those. If you don't have tinted windows like I have, the speaker grill grates, you want to make sure to get those as well, because those do crack out over time and fade. Helps prevent fading of the plastic. So I'm gonna go through, give this thing a nice coat of Armor All, and continue on winterizing my Impala. Don't say Impala. Don't say Impala, say Impala. All right. Now it is all about coverage. You can see that I sprayed areas on here of high traffic. You know, the whole car is just saturated with it. The dashboard, it's just got, you know, little speckles on it. That's where you're gonna take a terry cloth, just kind of gently work it in on your dash and all your components up here lightly, because you still want a thick coat, especially on the dash, everything that's exposed to the UV rays. Just light coat, don't buff it in, let it soak in, because it's still going to, you know, soak it up. But just lightly polish it in. Don't worry about getting it on the windshield or anything like that. You'll be able to clean all that stuff up. But the goal is, again, thick coverage. And if you feel like you got, you know, got it on there, it's wiped on and it dried, it kind of looks dry, put some more on there. You're not going to hurt anything. I promise you, you're not going to hurt anything. All right, getting back at it. All right, lately. Focus on those little areas up there too. They like to crack out. Same thing with the seat. Seats are kind of notorious for it, but yeah, good. So at this point too, you could also vacuum your car out. Depending on what you want to do, I'm gonna let it simmer until springtime. I want to clean the carpets up. I did get some coffee stains on there. Made a video on cleaning the carpet here a couple years ago. Seems to be something that needs to be done every few years, but we'll do that in a later video. Right now though, I'm wrapped up with my interior and my trunk. I'm gonna take one of those mouse repellent packets that I showed you here at the beginning of the video, and we're just gonna throw it in there. Now these things say, I don't know if you can read all that, botanical, rodent repellent, it's balsam fir oil, fragrance, yeah, it smells like wood chip. They're good for about 30 to 45 days depending on what you got going on, but they're pretty decent. And if you like the smell of pine trees, then definitely, you know, use them up. All right. Pretty simple. Take them, throw them in there. Simple as that. If you want to put one under your hood, put one under your hood. If you want to put one in the trunk, put one in the trunk. But so far, one is decent and it smells like Christmas time. Cool. So I'm going to call that good for the interior. Now we're going to move to the under the hood. Now under the hood's a kind of a, you know, it's pretty standard. If you want to give it an oil change, give it an oil change, top off any fluids. Your biggest concern, again, is what kind of climate are you going to be parking this in? Is it going to be parked outside? It's going to be below freezing. You want to check your glycol in your radiator and make sure that that is all up to par and it's not going to freeze and crack your block. It might not be a bad time to do a flush and fill on your entire system because the stuff is going to be sitting for, depending on how long your winters last, could be a couple months. So that's sitting in your block, it may corrode stuff up, so it might just be a good time to flush and condition out your system, depending on what you got going on. Again, oil change not needed, but you know, if the time warrants, I usually do mine when I get the car out in the spring. Also, some stuff you just want to check out, just your general stuff. Top off your brake fluid, top off, if you have clutch fluid, top that stuff off, just to make sure your fluids are full. That way in the springtime, if you go back out to the car, because you do a pre-check as well, and you notice any of the fluid levels are low, you know that you do have some kind of an issue going on there. But we're going to dive into underneath the hood here, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to go over. At this point, I forgot to tell you and mention that you need to add fuel stabilizer to your gas tank, so make sure to do that. Well, if you know, you know. This here is a 5.7 liter small block Chevrolet LT1 with a gear-driven water pump on it. No, I'm not getting an electronic water pump because those fail just as much as the gear-driven ones. But some common things here, it's just like any motor. You're gonna have coolant, you're gonna have power steering, you're gonna have your oil, everything else on here. So I always check my PS fluid. It's good. We changed that out here, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. It's a hydraulic fluid in there. We'll probably do a flush and fill on the system here in the springtime. But that's pretty simple because hydraulic fluid does eventually lose its, you know, it gets moisture in it, kind of doesn't become so stiff. It's more spongy if you think about it, so it doesn't work as well. But needless to say, we're good there. Coolant, want to check this off. You know, we're right up there. You can get a little sucker doodad, fill it, check it out kind of thing, but since we just did the radiator here less than a year, well, it's been about a year ago, I'm not going to worry about that because we put all good new fluid in there. Plus we had the power steering, or the OptiSpark off here in one of these last videos. That water pump was off, so the whole system did get flushed out again here just like 3 or 4 months ago, so we're good there. I do have an oil catch can on here. I got the cheap one off Amazon, eBay, whatever it was, I don't recall, but check to make sure that that is dry. It has a little bit of oil in it, residue, but if that needs to be drained out, now would be a good time to drain that to make sure you're not getting any corrosion or anything that builds up from it. If I get this thing back in here. Transmission fluid, probably a good time to check that. Usually this tends to be pretty decent. Pretty good, doesn't smell burnt, it's still red. It is, I think, due for a flush, filter, and fill. Now it's been probably about, I don't know, 8 or 10 years since I've actually done that. So I would say that we are about due. If you don't have a cold air intake, check your filter out on that. Make sure it doesn't have any holes in it, because if it does, you know, sit outside, mice and critters do get in that, and they can go right through past the filter, right into your intake. And then you go to start the thing up, and you're going to suck in a bunch of mouse nests, mouse house, or meese, and you're going to cause some catastrophic failure potentially. They do have a wire mesh guard on them, where that needs to be in good condition. Looks like we got a little bit of crud in there. Brake cylinder, brake master. We did the brakes here again 2 or 3 years ago, so that's been flushed and filled as well. But if you need to do that, now would be a good time to get in there. Our level is decent. Other than that, I'm gonna call this good. If you want to put one of those little mouse repellent things in there, drop it in there. Of course, put it somewhere where it's not going to catch on fire if you start it up and it's running for a significant amount of time, you know, like on the header or manifold, whatever it might be. Just put it in an inconspicuous place. Some other things to worry about: your battery. Now, they do make battery tenders, little trickle chargers. You can put it on a trickle charger for the winter or not, doesn't matter. Just all depends on your taste and your liking of what you do or don't. So our battery, we're going to put a multimeter on and double check it out. It was replaced a couple years ago, but it's been getting weaker and weaker that I've noticed. I just want to make sure it's all good. And of course, we had it in that 1984 Suburban, so it's covered in a whole bunch of junk from that. So you got to clean that out, They do make the caps. You can pull them out, refill them up with distilled water or whatever it is, but do what you got to do to make sure the battery is good, okay? That's what I'm saying. Trickle charge it up over the winter, pull it out, your car's sitting, bring it into wherever. But I'm gonna just throw a multimeter on this thing here really quick and see where it's at. Now, when it comes to multimeters, you have plethora of options out there. You got big honking ones like this that you can see I've never even opened this one. I got this for a Christmas present, and quite honestly, that's my backup. It's my backup. Also got this one off of the TikTok shop, and it's a little compact unit set up in here. It works just well. I mean, it's soft case, so it goes wherever. But in all honesty, you can get yourself a cheap Harbor Freight one for about $6 to $8, depending. They used to be like $4. Hell, they used to give them away for free. It's a Centric brand. It's just like this. It's smaller. It's the one that you've seen me use time and time again. It's the one that I used when I was wiring up the whole Angus, putting the LS in that. Didn't use any of these fancy ones, but my cheap Centric one that I have, I don't know where it is at the moment. Such is life. But I'm going to use the TikTok one because I don't feel like opening up this one. Okay, so now that it's auto selected, all you do is you touch ground to ground, positive top, positive. And now we're showing 12.20 volts on the multimeter. Put that so maybe you can see it a little bit better. Hey, cameraman, zoom in on that, and there it is. So we know my battery is healthy. It's charged up. If it needs to be charged up, maybe now's a good time to charge it. Pull it out, put it on a trickle charger. Whatever you might got to do to it, take care of it. Now, when it comes to the exterior of the paint, again, it's all going to depend on where the car is. If it's sitting in a garage, it's probably going to get dusty regardless from stuff floating around. If it's going to be in and out, kind of like what I typically do with cars, or at least the Impala, is I just leave it. Because we'll do a full detail on it here in the springtime, because it's looking like it's due for another buffing, you know. Favorite! Anyways, so I'm going to leave it as is, but do what you'd like to do. If you want to clean it up, give it a bath, put a nice coat of wax on it, put a car cover on it while it sits in the garage, that's probably another good idea. That's what we did last year. Doesn't matter. Now, if it does sit outside, I would highly recommend putting on a coat of wax, something with some UV protectant, and car cover. And if not, just if it's sitting out there, just put some UV protectant on that. Otherwise, it's going to end up deteriorating the paint as the sun is beating down on it. So that's it. That's all I'm going to do for winterizing the Impala this year, because I got lots of work to do. I mentioned I'm going to pull the headlights off. This whole cowl thing, it's fading. As you can see, maybe not. Wipers are faded. So my project again is going to be upcoming. We're going to pull all those pieces off and we're going to freshen them up. We're going to paint them, probably leave them off so we can detail and paint this. So that's probably going to be a spring type project, but other than that, this one's done to go. Ready to go, done to go. What the hell you just say? I don't know. Ready to go. So now we're going to move on to Angus, which is, sitting outside. All right, so moving outside, we have the 1981 GMC, Chevrolet C10, and it's sitting out here. It's going to be sitting out here now for probably the next couple months. But same thing goes, we're going to clean out the inside, park it in a conspicuous place where it's not going to have to get moved much. Maybe it will, I don't know. Mowed around, snow plowed around, I don't know, whatever you got going on. But clean out the inside. Clean up the inside with your stuff you got going on. I'm gonna do that. It's kind of loud. The neighbors are getting new siding put on, as you can hear. So let's get into some stuff. So same thing, I didn't really clean out much in here. You can see I got a rodent repellent pack in here. This one's actually done. I gotta add some more drips to it or add another pack to it. Probably gonna put a new pack in it. But I've sprayed down the dash on this because I do not want this dash to crack, because this one is really nice. Also, if you have a sun shield, probably not a bad idea to put out a sun shield to keep the UV rays from coming into it. Anything else you want to protect in here, protect it. I do have plans for this winter to go through. We're going to pull the interior out. I have new carpet that I'm putting in because I don't like this carpet. It's very thin. If you remember, it's our eBay special carpet that we had. I actually have it from that square body that we pulled out the dash and everything of. So gonna do that. So I'm not gonna go too crazy in here. But again, Angus is gonna be sitting out here in the elements for the winter. And I don't know if it's gonna snow on. I don't know what's gonna go on. I will tell you that I did put one of those rodent repellent things underneath the hood because, critters like to make nests in there. So let's go check that out, make sure that we don't have any critters inside there before I'm gonna give her a fire up, because I haven't ran it in a couple weeks. All right, so under the hood here, there's the rodent repellent pack that I threw in, and we are looking good. Usually meese make nests down in there. Should be all right. They like to make nests also up into that area as well, but we're looking good overall. Just like the Impala, I'm going to go through, check the fluids, make sure that coolant is all good to go and nothing's going to freeze from sitting out here. We'll check the life of the battery. And same kind of routine. Not going to worry about the paint because obviously, the paint is what it is, but that's what I got in a nutshell. Well, there you have it. 2 vehicles, fully winterized. Angus, good to go. Fired him right up, got him moved to another location. Impala, fully winterized, ready to go for what we're going to do, because again, it's going to be in and out. Make it your own. Park them in the garage for the winter, great. You probably got to do not as much work. If you park them outside, you can do a little bit more, a little bit less. I will caution you and say that if you do park them outside, make sure you add more rodent protection, because them dang mices, they get in every single nook and cranny of every vehicle. But that's it. Pretty decent little winterizing vehicles. Kind of, I have a lot of work to do. I got more videos coming out. We got that 84. We got to get that thing cleaned up. I got the whole back. It's got to get all cleaned up. I got a video on some of the stuff I've been doing here in the garage, which might bore some people, but is what it is. And Bert, we got to get back working on Bert. Spoiler alert, it's getting another paint job. So that's gonna do it for this one. Please like, subscribe, share, comment below. Last video did amazing. I appreciate all the new subscribers that I've been getting for the last couple weeks now. It's been pretty nice. But if you want to see something different, got any questions, just comment below. I answer all the questions that are in the comments, and you know. So I don't know, I'm not really good at doing these outros for YouTube stuff, so yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you later.